On August 13, 2018, a seemingly perfect American family vanished without a trace from their suburban home in Frederick, Colorado. What started as a missing persons case quickly unraveled into one of the most disturbing true crime stories in recent history. Behind the smiling photos and social media posts was a reality far darker than anyone could have imagined. Neighbors described the Watts family as quiet, friendly, and ordinary. Chris Watts, a soft-spoken father. Shanann Watts, a devoted mother who shared her life online. From the outside, everything looked perfect. But as investigators would soon discover, appearances can be dangerously deceiving. The morning Shanann was reported missing, concern spread quickly. Their two young daughters, Bella and Celeste, were often seen laughing and playing. Her phone, keys, and car were still at the house. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. Chris Watts appeared on local news, pleading for his wife and children to return home. His voice was calm, almost too calm. For many watching, something didn't feel right. As the hours turned into days, the investigation intensified. Police began reviewing surveillance footage from a neighbor's security camera. What they found raised immediate suspicion. In the early hours of the morning, Chris was seen backing his truck into the driveway and loading something into it. His behavior during the footage appeared tense and unnatural. When confronted, his story began to shift. Soon after, Chris Watts confessed to killing Shanann, but claimed it happened in a moment of rage after she allegedly harmed their daughters. It was a shocking and confusing statement, one that didn't align with the evidence. Investigators pressed harder, and the truth that emerged was far more chilling. Chris admitted that he had planned the murders. Shanann had returned home late that night from a business trip. What happened next remains one of the most haunting aspects of this case. By morning, Shanann and the two children were gone, and Chris had transported their bodies to a remote oil site where he worked. The discovery of the bodies confirmed the worst fears. Shanann was found buried in a shallow grave, while the children were located in separate oil tanks. The details sent shockwaves across the nation. How could a father commit such an act against his own family? At this point in the story, if you're finding this case as unsettling as it truly is, make sure to subscribe to Shadow Files and hit the like button. It helps bring more of these deep, investigative stories to light, and you won't miss the next mystery we uncover. As investigators dug deeper, a motive began to take shape. Chris Watts had been involved in an extramarital affair with a coworker. Text messages revealed he was deeply infatuated and spoke about wanting a new life. Financial stress also played a role. The Watts family was facing serious money issues, including debt and the possibility of losing their home. To Chris, it seemed, his family had become an obstacle to the life he wanted. Instead of confronting reality, he chose a path that would destroy everything. But even with a confession, questions remained. Why did Chris initially lie? Why attempt to create the image of a concerned husband on television? Experts suggest his calm demeanor and calculated actions point to a chilling level of detachment. It wasn't a crime of passion, it was deliberate. The case moved quickly through the legal system. Chris Watts eventually pleaded guilty to multiple counts of murder. In November 2018, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. There would be no trial, no prolonged courtroom drama. Just a final, heavy sense of closure, at least legally. But for many, closure never truly came. One of the most haunting aspects of this case is how normal everything seemed beforehand. Social media painted a picture of happiness. Shanann frequently posted videos of family moments, celebrations, and everyday life. To the outside world, it looked like a loving, thriving household. This raises an unsettling question. How much do we really know about the lives of others? Let's take a closer look at some of the clues that continue to spark discussion. Chris's behavior in interviews remains one of the most analyzed elements. His lack of visible emotion, inconsistent statements, and body language have led many to believe he had mentally separated himself from reality long before the crime. Then there's the timeline. The murders appear to have been carefully planned, yet executed in a way that left behind critical evidence. Surveillance footage, phone records, and digital data all pointed directly back to him. It's almost as if he believed he could outsmart the system, or simply didn't think he would be caught. Another chilling detail is the way he interacted with investigators. Even after confessing, he attempted to minimize his actions, shifting blame and avoiding full responsibility. This pattern is often seen in cases where the perpetrator struggles to reconcile their self-image with their actions. Now, let's explore some of the theories that continue to circulate around this case. The first theory suggests that Chris Watts experienced a psychological break. Supporters of this idea point to the stress of financial problems, marital strain, and the pressure of maintaining a perfect image. However, many experts argue that his calculated behavior contradicts the idea of a sudden breakdown. Another theory focuses on manipulation and control. Some believe Chris had been emotionally detached for some time and saw his family as an obstacle rather than loved ones. His affair may have accelerated this mindset, leading him to view the murders as a solution rather than a tragedy. There's also speculation about whether the crime could have been prevented. Were there warning signs that went unnoticed? Could intervention have changed the outcome? These are questions that don't have easy answers, but they highlight the importance of recognizing behavioral changes and seeking help when something feels wrong. Perhaps the most disturbing theory is the simplest one, that Chris Watts fully understood what he was doing and chose to do it anyway. No sudden rage. No loss of control. Just a cold, calculated decision. In the end, the Watts family case serves as a stark reminder that not all darkness is visible on the surface. Sometimes, it hides behind smiles, family photos, and everyday routines. It challenges us to look deeper, to question what we see, and to understand that even the most ordinary lives can hold unimaginable secrets. As we close this file, one thing remains clear: this wasn't just a crime. It was a betrayal of trust at the deepest level. A reminder that the truth can be far more terrifying than fiction. If this story left you thinking, make sure to subscribe to Shadow Files and share your thoughts in the comments. What do you believe was the true motive behind this case? And what other mysteries should we investigate next? Because in the shadows, there are always more stories waiting to be uncovered.